life?
That's a great question.
Oh, thank you.
Great question, seriously.
The war is coming. What will you do? I got that.
You have experienced a great amount of power and self-confidence through your characters, like Thanos, even Brand from the Goonies, Agent K, and of course, Gurney from Dune. What have you learned about what power means and what self-confidence means after portraying these characters in your life?
That's a great question.
Oh, thank you.
Great question, seriously. I think what doing movies and playing characters like that has helped me with being a fairly fearful guy is a sense of confidence. But when you're doing a movie because you're breaking everything down and you're kind of deconstructing everything, the difference between confidence and arrogance is a big thing, or confidence and ego. Because ego is kind of covering up something, covering up a vulnerability that you want people to see. So I think it's the first time I've thought about this, but I think that movies in some way has helped me with a sense of confidence without arrogance.
Love that answer. Thank you.
It's a great question. I've never thought about that, ever.
Denis, you are an extraordinary filmmaker, and I think we are very lucky to have the chance to experience your cinema. You said something really amazing in the press conference that filled my heart with joy, that is that you were born to make this movie. You're proud of yourself. I think, and I would say that you are Dune and Dune is you also. And I want to ask you, how do you use your characters in a way of catharsis? So you show yourself through them and through the stories that you tell.
It's a good question. I think that it's true that when you make an adaptation, necessarily you are a filter that will go from the words to the screen. I'll be in between, and I'm trying to be as faithful as possible to the book. But it's true that there are things in the movie that necessarily, being one of the co-writer, I will bring my own sensibility and things that sometimes there are things that are happening in the film where I see myself, and that moves me. Of course, it's like I'm one of the co-writer of the film. So
nature can teach us a lot about ourselves, and I think that when we connect with the environment, we have this kind of introspection journeys.
Totally.
And talking about the desert in Dune and how silence and void and this infinite line that you don't see where it ends.
Totally.
What has the energy of the desert in Dune transformed you in any kind of way?
A lot, a ton. And I think it's the same thing that I get from the sea, why I like California. Not everybody likes California. I love California. I love Mexico in that way. When you're up against the sea, especially in I've traveled a lot in Mazatlan, Puerto Vallarta, Topolobampo, all those places, and being by the sea and seeing the emotionality of the sea, it's very overwhelming. It makes you feel very insignificant. And the same thing goes when we were in Abu Dhabi or even Jordan and Wadi Rum, where we would be out in the middle of nowhere. We would get up at night before the sun came up, and we would go and we'd walk and walk and walk. And you're tired and you're surviving in some form, you know what I mean? Even though you're doing a production, you're still surviving. It's too hot. So there was a place in front of our hotel. We were surrounded by 100 miles of nothing but sand, but there was a big dune in front of our hotel, and we climbed it every day. And I even took my kids up there. I didn't go straight up with my kids. I went straight up, but they went around like that. And you'd get to the top and you'd see, like you said, nothing but infinity. And there's something that makes you feel so small, but by the time you leave, you don't want to leave, because there's something about that quiet and that silence that becomes intimate in you. You know, it was very nice. It was a very life-changing moment for me, being there.
It's an environment that brings a lot of introspection. It's like the infinity brings you back to your inner self, and the immensity. It's creates a strong feeling of humility, close contact with the infinity, which is a very brings a lot of existential questions, which I love.
You have an amazing cast in your movie, and I am amazed that every time each of them talks about the movie, they cannot thank you enough for including them in the movie. So I want to ask you about the behind the scenes, the process and the dynamic of sitting down with them and talking about the character while you allow them to give something new, while you are also teaching them or showing them what you want to achieve.
And the thing is that when you make casting, you want to build a relationship. It's an encounter with each actor has its own. It's a little planet in itself. You want to. I love when I want to bring. I have specific things that I want out of the character that are important for me. That I want them to bring in front of the camera. But there's nothing that brings more joy in my heart than when the actors have also great idea. Not saying that I have great ideas, but that they bring great ideas that will inspire me as I'm shooting. It's like it's a relationship. It's a creative relationship. That's what I love about cinema. It's the idea of creating poetry together.
I have to wrap right now, but I just
Because I took all your time answering that question for literally 10 minutes. Sorry.
I interviewed you 5 years ago, and I remember you being so honest and so humble with your answers, and I can still feel you're that kind of person.
Thank you.
So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. What a nice last interview to have.
Thank you.
I appreciate it.